Hello, and welcome to this recording that I'm preparing in advance of our upcoming August board meeting. This is Jill Sanford. I'm the communications director here at Sierra Business Council, and I wanted to take this opportunity to share more about our messaging platform and communication strategy for our board of directors. For future reference, this presentation is being recorded on July 28th, 2026. We likely won't have time at our upcoming board meeting to dive into our strategy and our communications platform that we've developed over the last several months. But since we've been working on a big transition for our strategy and goals in the communications department, I wanted to walk you through all of that today and share a little bit about what we've shared with staff. Before I get into all of this, I wanted to note that we may continue to adapt some of the strategy and our messaging talking points, and you will not be expected to memorize anything of what I'm going over. I will always be a resource. I'm always happy to share links to our messaging platform and help you all work through it for various scenarios. Okay, with that, I wanted to paint the picture, do a little stage setting here. As you all know, last summer, SBC's board conducted a feasibility study for a major fundraising initiative where our consultant Tanya interviewed key staff, board members, and potential high-value donors that could support our general fund through philanthropy. What she found out was that while people know our programs and our staff, they don't always understand the full impact of Sierra Business Council as an organization, what we do, and why we do it. That presents a huge opportunity for us moving forward. Earlier this year, we contracted with statewide leading public relations organization, Fiona Hutton and Associates, to refine our messaging strategy and direction, to develop talking points that resonate with an external audience, and to launch this communications plan. Our end goal in this process has been increasing our network and potential networks' understanding of what does SBC do. So what does communications look like at Sierra Business Council? Why does it matter to our organization? And what will this new direction do? It won't just help us attract new donors, be more consistent with our messaging, and roll out better, more strategic communications that are proactive about SBC's impact rather than reactive to our program needs. It'll also help us win grants and attract donors, secure new contracts and partnerships, build trust and credibility, recruit participants and partners, influence policy conversations, and elevate our staff expertise and program successes. Good communications, more consistent thought leadership, and storytelling will only create more opportunities for our programs and for our organization as a whole. Okay, now that we've given an overview of how we got here and why communications is critical to our organization's future, here's what's happening moving forward compared to what used to happen. Historically, we've done program by program communications, sometimes in a super isolated fashion. We've focused primarily on events or circumstances as they happen rather than planning ahead. We've done reactive storytelling. We've said this just happened rather than what just happened and its implications. Our reputation has also been focused on our leadership. A lot of people know our really excellent leaders for what they bring to the table, but they don't always understand how that reputation translates to the impact of SBC. So moving forward, we're going to focus on organizational storytelling rather than being caught up in our specific focus areas. Those will become more of a backstory, not how we sort our work. We'll be strategic about where we want to be visible and what audiences we want to attract. We'll be more consistent in our messaging. We'll be more proactive in our storytelling, and this will involve planning ahead to anticipate what we'll communicate and what themes we want to capture. Here's a glimpse at our new communication strategy. We're working to better capture our work and share it out. We're working to establish SBC as the go-to leaders with the solutions. More on this later. We're working to build the systems and the capacity in-house that make our storytelling and our communication strategy more integrated and more consistent. We're working to understand and target the audiences that want to connect with us. A through line here is that communications connects the dots and helps others understand the full impact of what SBC is doing across our various programs. I wanted to share more about this idea of thought leadership because this is something we've already started shifting in our communications over the last couple months. If you've been reading our emails, hopefully this makes sense. So thought leadership is how we're describing the concept of sharing our expertise to help others better understand the challenges facing the Sierra and the solutions that work. So instead of saying, this happened, we're saying, this happened and here are the implications, or here's a solution, or here's what SBC staff have done about it. We want to answer the so what. It's about being a trusted voice that people turn to when they need insight, data, practical expertise, or innovative ideas. This is what differentiates SBC from other nonprofits and organizations doing similar work. At SBC, thought leadership looks like sharing lessons learned from our work in your communities, explaining complex issues in ways that are understandable and actionable, connecting local experience to statewide conversations and policy, highlighting successful approaches that other communities can learn from, speaking, writing, or engaging publicly in ways that build trust in SBC staff. For example, this might look like a blog that explains why workforce development matters, speaking on a panel about rural housing or climate resilience, sharing data from a new report and explaining what this means for Sierra communities, providing an expert perspective to a reporter covering wildfire policy or the impact of data centers on the Tahoe Basin, publishing an opinion piece on an emerging issue affecting the region, and or posting insights from a conference or community meeting on our LinkedIn page. And why does this matter? When SBC consistently shares what we know and what we're learning, we become the organization people trust for answers. Funders and partners better understand our expertise. Policymakers seek our perspective. Communities see us as a credible resource. New opportunities for grants, contracts, and partnerships will follow all of this. Our goal isn't to be the loudest voice, it's to be the most trusted voice on the issues shaping the Sierra. Okay, we're really excited to share our new messaging pillars with you all. So, what are these pillars and how do we use them? These 4 messaging pillars form the core of SBC's messaging and communication strategy. They provide a shared foundation for how we talk about who we are, what we do, and why it matters, ensuring consistency across programs, staff and board, and our external audiences. So the blue text helps you understand how you might use each of these talking points to answer a question about SBC. If someone asks you, for example, why SBC? What is SBC? How does SBC do this work? What is its reputation? What is it known for? These are some of the talking points you can pull from. If a particular program resonates with you, these pillars can also help you connect it to the broader organizational story. Understand how any one program fits into the bigger picture, strengthen your elevator pitches and presentations, and communicate SBC's role in the Sierra with clarity and confidence. So again, you aren't expected to memorize these pillars, but rather think about this arc when you talk about the role of SBC in the Sierra Nevada. In this next section, I'm going to dive into each of these pillars and how you might use them and the strategy behind them to hopefully provide more context on how you might use them, why they were developed, and what we believe they will achieve for us. Our first pillar is all about the Sierra Nevada. The Sierra is not simply a geographic region we serve, it's a foundational system that supports California. Because the Sierra impacts the entire state, Sierra issues are California issues, and showcasing the Sierra's importance highlights how SBC's work on its behalf is important. So the strategy here is to position SBC beyond being just a regional nonprofit. It shows our relevance to the whole state. It shows how we are a representative voice for a critical region, how we translate Sierra realities into statewide decision making, and how we're a trusted partner that ensures rural communities are included in California's future. So the board takeaway section here, I'm just going to read this out loud for you. When talking about SBC, lead with our organization's regional significance in the context of why SBC matters before sharing the nitty-gritty. For example, the Sierra represents 25% of California's land and provides resources that sustain the entire state. SBC exists to ensure this region's future is represented in the decisions shaping California. Our second pillar is maybe more familiar for some of us because it reflects more of our past communication strategy to talk about the three areas: community, climate, and economy. Why is this a pillar still? So SBC's differentiator is that we do not approach challenges in isolation. In the Sierra Nevada, climate, communities, and the economy are interconnected. And we have a few examples of this here. So this strategy is to showcase not just what we did on our climate team, not just what we do for small businesses or workforce development, but to show the intersections, show how we work across one lane and extend into another to show that everything is interconnected in our region. This is what's going to set us apart from our other nonprofits. Our board takeaway here is avoid describing SBC as one thing: an environmental organization, an economic development organization, a climate organization. We're a systems organization working where these issues overlap. For example, SBC connects climate resilience, economic opportunity, and community well-being because in the Sierra, these systems cannot be separated. Okay, on to our third pillar. This pillar answers, how do we do this work? Why are we unique in the way that we move through the region? We're a catalyst, a connector, and a convener for the Sierra. We create our impact through our relationships, through our expertise, and through our implementation of our programs. The strategy here is that our value is not only in the programs we manage, but it is in our ability to see the connections across issues and move systems forward, and to enable the conditions that will allow those solutions to be successful. Our board takeaway here is that when we talk about SBC as the organization that helps the region move from challenge to collaboration to implementation. For example, SBC brings together the people, the resources, and the ideas needed to turn regional challenges into coordinated action. Okay, our fourth pillar provides the context. It provides the so what. It addresses what our reputation is. It provides the statewide context for what our local solutions do in a broader sense. So in the past, for example, we might have said something along the lines of, we hosted a Wildfire Solutions Coalition meeting this month. What we're working to do with this pillar is to showcase the broader impact and the context of why we do what we do. For example, we facilitated a Wildfire Solutions Coalition workshop this month because stronger forest management supports statewide wildfire resilience and our climate goals. Our success stories and our bigger picture change highlight how SBC works in Sierra communities, but the outcomes benefit the entire state. And the strategy behind this pillar is it explains that why investing in SBC in the Sierra is not just regional philanthropy, it's an investment in a broader system and in California's future. This is especially important for funders and for policymakers and for statewide partners and donors from outside the region. And what we want the board to take away from here is that SBC is place-based, the Sierra is the place, but the impact is broad and systemic and statewide. For example, when the Sierra is healthy, California is stronger. Okay, so what is the board's role in this? The board, we're asking that you help us tell the story, that you help us amplify our storytelling. And again, as I said before, you do not need to memorize the pillars, but you can use them as a shared framework that provides consistency with what we're rolling out from staff and from our communications department. So one big takeaway here is just try to lead with the big picture. Again, I used this example already, but instead of SBC runs a Wildfire Solutions Coalition, try something like SBC brings partners together across the Sierra to build long-term resilience to wildfire and climate risk through a Wildfire Solutions Coalition. And then we want to connect our programs back to our larger story, our larger mission to change the system and to create a healthier Sierra Nevada. Another thing the board can do is to help us reinforce SBC's unique role and the words that we want people to associate with SBC. So that means using words like regional leader, trusted partner, systems thinker, connector and convener, implementation partner, to help us bridge local communities and statewide decision makers. Okay, so this is what an introduction arc, an elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it, might look like if you combine all four pillars. So this first sentence, so imagine this is a paragraph that you might use to explain SBC to your community, to your network, if you're giving a presentation on our behalf, etc. If you're pitching a new board member who wants to join, you might say, this first sentence, SBC works to strengthen the Sierra Nevada, the region that provides many of the resources California depends on, including water, energy, forest, and recreation. This is from Pillar 1, so this is pulling on those talking points. And then the next thing you might say is, we work at the intersection of climate, community, and economy because these systems are deeply interconnected. This is Pillar 2, so it's talking about how our programs fit into an interconnected system. Sentence number 3, this talks about our role. What is the unique thing about how SBC moves the region? So our role is to bring people, ideas, and resources together to connect statewide priorities with local realities and turn solutions into action. Okay, Pillar 4, when the Sierra is healthy, California is stronger. This kind of tidies it up with a nice little bow and brings it full circle. Okay, I wanted to share some of the communications resources that we've been working on developing to increase consistency across the organization. The board will have access to these materials, including a messaging guide and talking points with our pillars, boilerplate language, how might you describe SBC in your bio or other places that people want to know about this work, a presentation deck, fact sheets, a donor prospectus, and a partner toolkit. We want things to be consistently worded across our organization, and this info will also have proof points and ways that we've done all of this that you can pull on to describe the work you may not have witnessed firsthand. Okay, what's next in this process? So the August board meeting will focus on the strategic plan. You're welcome to bring your questions to me or send them to me one-on-one. Our new communication strategy has a lot of moving parts, but I encourage everyone to dig in whichever way works for you. And I'm happy to set up an office hours session for the board to answer your Q&A separate from the August board meeting if that is necessary. And just so everybody knows, we do have a staff training with Fiona Hutton and Associates coming up on August 19th. The board is welcome to join, but this will be fully in person. There won't be a virtual option available. So you'll have to be in town on the 19th. And if you want to come to that, please let me know and I will share the details. Okay, thank you very much. And again, this will all be in ZEC. I'll send it around in an email and appreciate your support as we dig into this journey.